Great value. That's totally Walmart's phrase, but the idea still stands. Like, we all want the best deals, we all want to buy the best product for the cheapest price, or get the best coffee with the shortest waiting line or delivery time, whatever it may be, but that also applies to productivity and lifestyle. And so that leads to today's topic of micro habits. These habits are honestly like the backbone of my life. They're the backbone of how my day-to-day success looks like and my productivity, just because it really sets me up for success, and they're so easy to implement. That's why they're called micro habits, because the subtle changes over time, they compound, and it's worked really well for me. And I'll share my personal examples so that way you can have a better idea of like inspiration instead of just being thrown instructions and being like, okay, but like how does it look like? But these habits give me the most reward with the least amount of hassle. Just find what works for you. I would love for you to take what I have and also modify it as you go, since every person's going to be different. It depends on your stage of life, your lifestyle, your preferences. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Habit 1 is gratitude. Throughout your day, always be mindful of what's something I'm grateful for in the moment. I like to schedule those times so it becomes kind of consistent and a routine. And for me, that looks like in the beginning of the day and the end of the day. Anything else in between is kind of just like up for grabs if I feel like it, if I remember. Some examples of things I'm grateful for is the weather and little things that we take for granted. As a college student, the weather matters so much when you're commuting for probably 2 to 3 hours a day on foot, total combined. So thankful for the weather, grateful for something that relates to recent events. So kind of like weather again. In my area a couple weeks ago, we had a really bad windstorm. People had power outages, trees were knocked over, and I was thankful that we didn't have that again. And I was thankful that I had power and that I could have Wi-Fi, and even opening the garage, simple things like that that need that. So literally it can be anything. You can find anything. You can find a million different things. So just keep it in mind. I think it's an amazing way to just appreciate little things in life, or the big things too. If you had an accomplishment of like getting into college or getting a scholarship or having a really great time with friends, like those are also things to be appreciative of. I think doing this consistently too is amazing for both the great days, but also the days where you may be feeling down or stressed or whatever. So a super small habit, but again, it takes like 10 seconds to do, and you do it every day. And the attitude that at least I have on life is definitely impacted by that small micro habit. Habit number 2 is morning movement, getting out of bed and just doing something for my body that wakes me up a bit more and gets me going throughout the day. Whether that look like a light stretch, or it could be a quick walk outside, a quick walk to the kitchen, whatever it may be. I personally like to use cleaning as something. Usually at night, I kind of just leave everything a mess and I just clean it up the next morning, depending on the situation. But I know I also have that set aside time in the morning, and for me, cleaning helps me feel productive. So I love taking 5 minutes, 10 minutes, playing 2 to 3 songs and just moving around my room, putting things away. I know throughout the school year, I used to do a 5 to 10 minute workout on YouTube, and it wasn't really like a conditioning challenging workout. It was just more for me to get my body up and moving, and that was simultaneously building my exercise habits, which is a separate thing. I would say how this looks like really depends on your preferences and lifestyle. I have friends who love to take morning runs, and for me, that would probably just make me miserable. I would just hate to run when that's the first thing I'm doing in the day. But again, depends on you. Biggest thing is that you want it to be small enough so you can be consistent. I wouldn't suggest doing a full-blown like 30-minute workout, 60-minute workout. It does not have to be rigorous exercise unless you want it to be. I feel like most people just having 5 to 10 minutes of something is perfect. And if you want to do extra, that's amazing, and do that. And you'll feel so much better feeling like you did something extra for yourself rather than trying to set that as a standard, not being able to feel like it's doable, especially when you have stressful times or busy times, etc. So again, these are micro habits, so they're small. Start with 5 to 10 minutes or 10 seconds, literally whatever it takes for you to feel good. Habit number 3 is planning out your day. In terms of planning, I honestly have a whole system. I use Google Calendar and a Google Doc, and I time block everything, which, let me say, so many personality tests I've taken tell me to go to military just because of how like structured I love my schedule. But that being said, I never follow it. Like 90% of the time I don't follow it. It's just there as a guideline, it's there for my awareness, which is the purpose of why I make it in the first place. So let me explain. With Google Calendar, or whatever calendar you use, if you use one. If not, and you just remember everything on top of your head like a superhuman, I would just go over what you have in your head / on paper and just review your day. See what you have coming up. If you're a student like me, see what deadlines you have, if you have any meetings, etc. And it's just good to be aware and kind of get your day at a glance. For me, after I look at my Google Calendar, I put everything into a Google Doc, change all the times, and add whatever I need throughout the doc. This really helps me, especially as a college student, to fill in the holes. So with college, I just have classes and org meetings that are set. Everything in between is kind of up to me to take care of things like cooking and homework and whatnot, and they're more flexible. And so it just helps me a lot with the efficiency of my day, of trying to figure out where am I going and how much time do I have. But regardless of what you decide to use and what system you have, I believe that awareness and clarity is really important to taking the first steps. A lot of people with productivity, they don't really start an assignment, in part because they're not really sure what to do. They don't have something to follow. And so having clarity of how your day looks and what you need to get done really does help you make better decisions and give you a better peace of mind. I have a bullet journal, which is basically a blank notebook, and you write in yourself to make it like a planner. I write down something that I'm looking forward to, and that can be going out with friends or getting coffee. It can be something like getting more sleep the next day, or it can even be something work related, such as it's going to be a productive day and I'm excited to be productive. Whatever you want it to be, it just gets you a little more excited, and for me, it helps motivate me to get moving. Habit number 4 is what I call the redemption round. Redemption round is a time period where anything I didn't get done throughout the day, I try to fit in this period. It can be simple, small things such as taking out the trash to bigger things such as doing an assignment that I meant to do earlier. It's basically just a space for anything that you wanted to get done throughout the day but didn't, and you're just trying to like redeem it. And so I tend to aim for 10 to 30 minutes. This really depends on my schedule. In the summer, I can even do periods of an hour long, but in college that could even look like 3 minutes. So it just really depends. Using my journal and how I like to do a lot of to-do lists, this is super helpful as I just go down the list and I just start trying to check off as many boxes as I can. But it helps me mitigate procrastination and putting things off by having this in my day. Also, having a time limit helps, having the flexibility helps. For me, time limits honestly motivate me well. It's a challenge to beat the clock, kind of like I want to finish this before my next meeting, I want to finish this before whatever. It's kind of a game to me when I put it this way. I tend to do these redemption rounds at the end of the day, and so it's also a nice way for myself to just feel like I'm wrapping up the day. I can move on to something that's relaxing and non-priority or work related. So it's a nice way for me to get to the point of unwinding. Habit number 5 is the end of day reflection. This is kind of a full circle moment to our first habit of gratitude, because like I said earlier, I like to practice gratitude at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. And so during this reflection period, I come back to that gratitude, but as well as I think about other things. I process the day of just thinking about what I did, thinking about what made me happy, what made me upset, and maybe why. Thinking about any challenges that I've had or any upcoming challenges that I could have because of something that happened that day. So really just going through and just thinking. But again, I would say my 3 things that I keep structured, that I do consistently every day, is gratitude, but also something that went well that day and something that can be improved upon. With my end of the day gratitude, it tends to be more event-based. I like to write down highlights of my day in pink in my journal. It's also really sweet to look back on, but again, that's a journaling thing that I can talk about more in a different video if you would like. When I reflect on something that went well or something that I'm proud of, it's like a pat on the back for getting through the day, especially when I feel like life gets so busy, and without taking the time to recognize how much you've done, we forget to appreciate the work we put in, to celebrate the things we've worked hard for. Even if it's a small step of maybe finishing a portion of the assignment, or if there's a habit I'm trying to implement, such as eating less sugar, if I did do that day and I'm proud of it, I can write that down, and that kind of reward and acknowledgement is really helpful. For recognizing something that I want to improve on, I have to be kind of careful with this since I can be a harsh critic on myself, and it's not meant to beat me down. It's not meant to have that kind of effect. It's just a way for me to be mindful of something that I can change if I want to change something moving forwards, or play around with how I want to experiment with something. It basically is a way to help me keep moving and just keep thinking without being stuck. Smaller thinking over time has an influence that I can't explain of just allowing yourself to process and grow and really sit with a thought. Progress isn't linear, and this way it makes it so easy to break down into smaller ups and downs. It's honestly pretty encouraging. Just throughout this whole thing, have patience with yourself and give yourself some grace. We're human. Not every day is meant to be a good day, and not everything is meant to be optimal of like 100% go, go, go and whatnot. Something that my teacher told me in high school was be a coach to yourself. And the way that is phrased was powerful and perspective shifting for me, because when you think of a coach, you think of someone that pushes the person to be better, that sees their potential, that knows how to give tough love, but also knows how to encourage. And the definition of a coach really portrays that well of the relationship you have with yourself when you're trying to go through these changes and improvements, etc. So to recap, our 5 habits are gratitude, morning movement, planning out your day, redemption round, and end of day reflection. So if you tried any of these or enjoyed this video, please give this video a thumbs up so I know that you guys like this type of content. And if you would like to see more of my tips and experiences and examples, hit the subscribe button so I'll make it a lot easier for you to have access to my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!